Hey guys, welcome to Topical Nate here. Today I'm doing a movie bracket for comedy movies. So let's get started. First up, we got the 40-Year-Old Virgin versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. 40-Year-Old Virgin, I remember that movie came out. A lot of people were talking about it. It created some buzz. It's a pretty good movie. I like the 40-Year-Old Virgin. It's not that bad. But Bill and Ted is just like so much fun. And it is so like, it's so original. Like it is so unlike any other comedy movie that you'll see. And for that reason, I got to take Bill and Ted. Bridesmaids versus the Blues Brothers. This is really ironic to me because these are two comedies that I actually think are incredibly overrated. I don't really care for either of them that much. But because the Blues Brothers is older, I don't have to hear about it as much as I still hear about Bridesmaids every once in a while. And before you start on some sexist shit, there are plenty of like female-driven comedies that I think are excellent. What's that Mindy Kaling one? Night Show or something like that?
Yeah.
The talk show one, just Night Show.
I believe so.
Night Show is great. Plan B is great. I like Booksmart better than I like Bridesmaids, and I still think Booksmart's a little bit overrated, so I'm still going to take Blues Brothers, but whatever.
Late night.
Late night, that's it. Alright, Tommy Boy versus Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Tommy Boy, to me, is just like very much a product of its time. It is a funny movie. People from this era just like ride Chris Farley's dick, and like I understand that what happened to him is incredibly tragic, but I feel like after he passed away, people just like did whatever they could to elevate the shit out of his work, and it's just not my style. I'm not saying he's not talented, I'm not saying he's not funny, it's just not for me. And I love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, so I'm taking that. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective versus Knocked Up. So basically I have nostalgia versus a Judd Apatow movie, which normally if I ever had to choose between those two things, I'm going to take nostalgia. That being said, having rewatched a little bit of Ace Ventura, it's like it's hard for me to actually handle a full movie of like old school Jim Carrey, just like off the wall craziness, unless it's Dumb and Dumber, but he has like someone else that's like the co-lead feeding off him in that situation. Knocked Up actually really does have some heart to it. I think it's definitely one of the better Apatow movies, so I'm going to take Knocked Up. Alright, this one's hilarious to me. Airplane versus Spaceballs. Spaceballs is hilarious. I love Star Wars. I love Mel Brooks. I love all the jokes in this movie. Spaceballs is probably like a top 25 favorite comedy of all time to me. I could go on and on talking about how much I love Spaceballs. Airplane is frequently like top 5 comedy like when people make lists of top 5 comedies, Airplane is very frequently in the top 5. I do not think that shit's funny. I think this or Monty Python and the Holy Grail might be the most overrated movies of all time, period, to me. So I am so excited to knock Airplane out in the first round. That movie is not funny. Alright, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery versus Big. This one is really tough. The Austin Powers movies, listen, are they good? No. But are they funny? And are they also just incredibly fun? Absolutely. I love all 3 of them. Mike Myers wants to make a 4th one. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I will absolutely watch it if he does. It will make me nervous because this whole making comedies however many years after they came out usually doesn't work. That being said, Big is like one of the first movies that I can remember like just being absolutely attached to and watching over and over and over as a kid, because Big is a movie that transcends stages of life. You can watch it as a kid and you can relate to it. You can watch it as an adult and there's an important message in there about like not getting so wrapped up in your adult life that you forget to have fun. And Tom Hanks is just the most charming motherfucker on the planet. I love Big. It is absolutely moving on. All right, we got Best in Show, which I do not think is funny at all, versus The Princess Bride, which is probably like, well, not probably, is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So, give me Princess Bride. All right, we got Out of Towners versus Hot Fuzz. I have not seen Out of Towners, so Hot Fuzz is automatically going to move on. That being said, I love Hot Fuzz. I think it's hilarious. So it probably would have won anyways. Horrible Bosses versus The Hangover. Neither of these are really my favorites. I would personally, honestly, probably put them about on the same level, but The Hangover was like a cultural phenomenon. When it came out, it had just like an absolute major impact. Everybody was talking about it, so I'm going to give the nod to The Hangover. Oh, this one sucks. Alright, so we got When Harry Met Sally versus Knives Out. The reason this one sucks is because these are two incredible movies. They are both so good, and I love Knives Out. I love original scripts, and Knives Out came out in a time where original stories are becoming more and more rare. So, I just love that, but I just cannot justify picking it over When Harry Met Sally. The best rom-com of all time. It is hilarious. It is a great story. So it breaks my heart to eliminate Knives Out, but gotta go Harry Met Sally. Oh, look at this. So we got A Christmas Story versus Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Christmas Story, it's really hard. Christmas Story is really interesting because it should be a cult classic Christmas movie, because the way the story is told and all that stuff, it doesn't necessarily really fit a mainstream audience. But like TBS, I don't know if they still do it or not because I don't watch cable anymore, but at least had their 24-hour marathons of this movie like Christmas Story is the most mainstream non-mainstream movie ever, I think. And like I said before, along with Airplane, I think Monty Python and the Holy Grail is one of the most overrated movies of all time. It is not funny in the slightest. I saw like so many clips from Monty Python, like growing up and like throughout the years, but I hadn't seen the whole movie yet. And literally, they just take all of the best gags, put like, and just watch them in a reel, which some of them still are not even funny. And just watch that, because the movie as a whole, like, it's not funny. So I'm taking it Christmas Story. All right, so Jerry Lewis's The Nutty Professor versus Despicable Me. I unfortunately have not seen Jerry Lewis's The Nutty Professor. I have unfortunately seen Eddie Murphy's The Nutty Professor. Despicable Me, I have beef with because it started this Minions bullshit, but it does still actually have a ton of heart and is really funny. So I have to take it because I haven't seen the other one, but it is what it is. Happy Gilmore versus The Jerk. I do love The Jerk. I think it's really funny. I like that movie a lot, but Happy Gilmore is an absolute classic. It is so funny. It is peak Adam Sandler, so it's moving on. What about Bob versus The Gods Must Be Crazy? I have not seen either of these movies. So,
I like What About Bob.
You like What About Bob?
Like What About Bob.
All right, I'm going to take What About Bob for Strange Wang then.
There's a Funko Pop behind me about What About Bob.
Oh, nice. All right, Clueless versus Napoleon Dynamite. This one is also really interesting. Clueless is kind of a classic. I mean, like, people love that movie. It kind of did like what Legally Blonde was going to do down the road, where you have this like, showing that just because in these cases specifically a young woman who is a product of her generation talks the way they talk, is really interested in fashion and superficial things, and comes off a little ditzy, can in fact be incredibly intelligent and smart and still has feelings and emotions and shouldn't be put in this box. And I love I love those stories. Napoleon Dynamite is just irreverent. Uh, the thing with Napoleon Dynamite is quoting Napoleon Dynamite is one of those movies where quoting it to your friends later is more funny than the actual movie is. So it hurts me to eliminate Napoleon Dynamite, but I'm gonna. All right, Idiocracy versus Superbad. Uh, Idiocracy has some funny things to it, but it is very much so a product of its time. Superbad, honestly, like 10 years from now, we'll probably look back at Superbad and be like, it's a product of its time, but I think Superbad is going to hold up really, really well. I know some people are just like super Mike Judge stands and love everything that he's put out. I do like Idiocracy, but Superbad was like a huge movie for me. I was the target demographic for Superbad when it came out. I think it's hilarious. And I think that Superbad will ultimately stand the test of time. So moving out on to round 2 for this side, we got the Blues Brothers versus Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. As I stated before, I feel like Blues Brothers is a little bit overrated, and I love Bill and Ted, so I'm taking it. Knocked Up versus Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I like Knocked Up. Like I said, I do think it has heart, but it is still just like it fits Judd Apatow's like stoner, like goofball stoner who doesn't really do anything in his life somehow still gets the hot chick. And like, I'm not saying that never happens, but I'm not really here for hearing that story over and over and over again. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles to me is an absolute classic. What a great pairing. What a great road trip movie. You got it's John Hughes, Steve Martin, John Candy taking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Damn, this one's going to hurt me no matter what either. Spaceballs are big. Okay. I'm going to take into consideration the fact that this is specifically a comedy movie bracket. I definitely think, hands down, Big is the better movie out of these two. Like, not even really close. But I laugh way more at Spaceballs than I do during Big, because Big is also, like, has dramatic elements to it and stuff. So it hurts, but I'm going to take Spaceballs just because it is a comedy list, and Spaceballs is funny as shit to me. Princess Bride versus Hot Fuzz. Yeah, Hot Fuzz is great. I think everyone should see Hot Fuzz. I think everyone should see I was going to say everyone should watch the whole Cornetto trilogy. I guess I do feel that way. Hot Fuzz is my favorite of the three. Shaun of the Dead is really good. And at World's End is fine. But none of those are The Princess Bride. This movie is incredible. It cracks me up. It is equally funny watching it as it is quoting it to your friends later. So give me The Princess Bride. The Hangover, When Harry Met Sally. I mean, this is like... to me, this isn't even fair. It's Harry Met Sally all day. The Christmas Story versus Despicable Me. I was forced to pick Despicable Me in the first round. Very happy to knock it out now by, for me, what is like easily a top 10 Christmas movie.
Here at Sonotopical, we're unfortunately poor, and this money you see on screen, that's CGI. That's not real money, because again, we're poor. So if you want to click in the ad eye in the corner, that video is monetized, and we can make money off it, so please go watch it.
And if you click an ad, we make more money. And if you really want to help, there's the thanks button right there below this video. Happy Gilmore, What About Bob? I, again, haven't seen What About Bob. Happy Gilmore is incredible. So, Clueless versus Superbad. To me, Superbad is excellent. We've talked about it kind of a lot recently. And I love that movie a lot. Clueless is a really fun story, but I think it's just missing something for me personally. It might just be that I am not a female, so there are just certain aspects of it that I don't necessarily identify to. So, taking Superbad. Bill and Ted versus Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. it was a great ride, Bill and Ted. I love you guys a lot. See you soon, probably. Taking planes, trains, and automobiles. Oh, all right. This one is like borderline soul crushing. Because, again, I love Spaceballs. I think it's hilarious. That is just like a comfort movie for me. One I could watch over and over and over again. But The Princess Bride, in terms of movies that I have watched the most, is definitely probably like top 5, taking The Princess Bride. When Harry Met Sally versus A Christmas Story. Again, this is actually a pretty easy decision. I love A Christmas Story, but When Harry Met Sally is hilarious and is also just a better movie. Oh, Happy Gilmore versus Superbad. So for me personally, these are on the same level. But again, Happy Gilmore is like peak Adam Sandler. This shit is so fucking funny. And Superbad still has some of those like raunchy, like early 2000s or like mid 2000s to like 2010s, just kind of like stonery, like raunchy, like teen kind of Judd Apatow bullshit. Happy Gilmore is incredibly juvenile, so I don't want you to like think that I'm getting it twisted. I just think like head to toe, Happy Gilmore is a better movie and it's funnier. So, all right, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles versus Princess Bride. Love Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It's not gonna take The Princess Bride for me. When Harry Met Sally versus Happy Gilmore. All right, so now this is getting really tough, right? So I think this is another situation where, unfortunately, I'm going to have to default to the fact that this is a comedy movie bracket. When Harry Met Sally, it is really funny. It is a rom-com. It is absolutely a better movie than Happy Gilmore. However, Happy Gilmore makes me laugh way more consistently throughout like the whole thing than When Harry Met Sally does. So I'm going to take Happy Gilmore. And then The Princess Bride versus Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore is like definitely more of a pure comedy, but The Princess Bride is like a really smart comedy. So I pretty much laugh like start to finish during The Princess Bride too, because there's so much like just underhanded stuff thrown in there that if you're not paying attention, you won't catch. So taking Princess Bride. On to the other side of the bracket, we got, man, a Mel Brooks matchup. We got Blazing Saddles versus Young Frankenstein. Jeez, that's a tough one. I think I gotta take Blazing Saddles. I think it just is funnier to me than Young Frankenstein is, but Young Frankenstein is hilarious. Shrek versus Emperor's New Groove. Fuck Shrek. That shit's overrated. Trevor and Trudy, I hope you're watching this shit. Taking Emperor's New Groove. Alright, we got the OG Pink Panther. No Steve Martin on this. Versus What's Up, Doc. I have not seen either of these. So, do you have a preference that you would like me to?
I've only heard of the Pink Panther.
Okay, well then why not? The Naked Gun versus Dumb and Dumber. Okay, so The Naked Gun is actually another, to me, this falls in the airplane Monty Python category. It's so funny. I love Leslie Nielsen. I think he's hilarious, but like I do not think The Naked Gun or Airplane are really that funny. And Dumb and Dumber is like a top 10 movie of all time for me, so absolutely taking it. There's Something About Mary versus Christmas Vacation. I don't really care about this matchup at all. I think all the vacation movies are pretty overrated. There's Something About Mary is fine, but the whole shampoo mistake is just absolutely disgusting to me. It is not funny at all, but I don't think there's really anything funny about the vacation movies. Neither of these are going to make it past the next round, so I'm just going to take There's Something About Mary. Fuck! Why they do this to me? Alright, Trading Places versus Coming to America. All right. The reason I'm upset is not because I'm having a hard time making the decision. Like, the answer to me is clear, but I love both of these movies, and I definitely would have much preferred to have to make this decision later in the bracket. Trading Places is hilarious, but to me, it's not as tight as Coming to America is, so I'm taking Coming to America. Galaxy Quest versus Super Troopers. Uh, yeah, I'm not feeling like a major preference towards either of them. But we have a friend who just like overquotes the shit out of Super Troopers and also was like adamant that this sequel that came out a few years ago was good. So I'm not going to pick Super Troopers. I'm going to take Galaxy Quest. A Fish Called Wanda versus Ghostbusters. Fish Called Wanda, it's decent. I like that movie okay, but Ghostbusters is like an absolute classic. I really, really love that movie. Monsters Inc. versus the Lego Movie. So I feel like I want to say the Lego Movie because it's really funny. But the issue is I actually have not seen the Lego Movie. I've just seen a lot of clips from the Lego Movie, and all the clips that I have seen were hilarious. So by default, I feel like I have to take Monsters Inc. Raising Arizona versus Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I don't really like movies with babies in them, so I'm taking Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? 16 Candles versus Ferris Bueller. I don't really think either of these movies are really hilarious. But Ferris Bueller is a lot of fun, and I think that he is an incredibly interesting character study. So taking Ferris Bueller pretty easily. Gross. All right, this one is really interesting because Mystery Men is a fucking terrible movie. It is so bad. I don't know why it is on here. Did you make this? Because I wouldn't be surprised if he had put a movie that he knows that I just like on principle could not pick versus The Big Lebowski, because I also think The Big Lebowski is a little bit... You know what? I'm going to be fair to The Big Lebowski. I don't necessarily think that The Big Lebowski is overrated. I hate that the stoners have just like confiscated The Big Lebowski and have made it a part of their personality. That drives me crazy, and I hate your culture if you are just like I'm a stoner and that's my personality type person. So I won't hold that against The Big Lebowski, and it is also the very easy and obvious pick over Mystery Men. Office Space versus Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck is fine. I don't really fuck with it that much. It's okay. Office Space is like, it's Mike Judge. It's got that dry sense of humor to it. I really love that specific type of humor. It's not my favorite movie, but I'm going to take Office Space. Tucker and Dale versus Evil versus Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is an absolute classic. I haven't seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Maybe it's hilarious. You can let me know if you think it's funny, but I'm definitely taking Groundhog Day. Caddyshack versus The Birdcage. Caddyshack, not that funny. It's really not. But I haven't seen The Birdcage, so I have to take Caddyshack. Huh. Okay, so we have a movie that I absolutely would not have expected to be on this list, which is The Grand Budapest Hotel, because in my head, I've just never like specifically categorized it as a comedy. Because it is very funny, but it is like Grand Budapest. It's an auteur film, which is kind of the box that I put it in. But if I really had to pick like this really specific genre, I would say like a caper more than anything else. And it's going up against This Is Spinal Tap. So here's the thing. Grand Budapest Hotel is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. I can't say enough about it, but I have to try to stay consistent and stick to my this is a comedy movie bracket, and I truly don't think of Grand Budapest as a comedy. So I have to take this as Spinal Tap. All right, round 2 on this side. Blazing Saddles, Emperor's New Groove. Give me Blazing Saddles. Give me that movie that nobody would dare make today that is absolutely hilarious and that is specifically pointing out the problems that people would call it problematic for. Pink Panther versus Dumb and Dumber. This one is cake for me. I love Dumb and Dumber. It's an all-timer for me, and I have never seen the Pink Panther. Something About Mary versus Coming to America. Coming to America all day. That shit's funny. Galaxy Quest versus Ghostbusters. Excuse me. A lot of talking. Throat's kind of dry. Ghostbusters, easy.
You can take a break if you want.
Let me get a swaller.
You don't like Galaxy Quest?
It's alright. Did you just expect me to? Because it's like a space movie?
Mm-hmm. Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
It's a spoof. It's smart.
So I think that I compare it to The Fifth Element a lot. Because they are both like space comedies, basically.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I don't like it more than I like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I don't know. It just seemed like a Nate film. It threw me off, and you was like, oh, I don't really care. And I was like, what?
Yeah, Galaxy Quest is fine. Okay, Monsters, Inc. versus Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is an incredibly smart movie. It does have funny moments, but Monsters, Inc. is actually really, really funny. And Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a comedy in terms of like... it's like more of like a Shakespearean comedy. So that's not necessarily always funny. So I'm taking Monsters, Inc. Big Lebowski versus Ferris Bueller's Day Off. F you stoners. Give me Ferris Bueller. Office Space versus Groundhog Day. This one is also very easy for me. Because they both actually have incredibly dry humor. Different kinds of dry humor. But Groundhog Day is an absolute classic. Spinal Tap versus Caddyshack. I'm not a huge Spinal Tap guy. It's definitely a cult classic. Again, I don't think Caddyshack's that funny. So, give me Spinal Tap. Damn it. I say damn it. Again, same situation. This is a really easy choice for me. It's just, I would much rather have been able to do this in like a semifinal. But to me, Dumb and Dumber is like the funniest movie of all time. I love that movie so much. So, even though I love Blazing Saddles, and I don't think that Blazing Saddles will ever get the love that it deserves because of the world we live in anymore, I'm taking Dumb and Dumber. This one's really tough. Ghostbusters versus Coming to America. Both really funny. I am going to give the nod to Coming to America because I think that top to bottom, it is a funnier movie. Monsters, Inc. versus Ferris Bueller. I think these have about the same amount of comedy in them, and Ferris Bueller is a little more interesting to me, so I'm going to take it. Groundhog Day versus Spinal Tap. Easy pick. Groundhog Day. Dumb and Dumber versus Coming to America. Both excellent comedies. I love that this matchup came so late in this bracket, but I cannot take Coming to America over Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber is just, every scene is hilarious to me. I gotta take it. Ferris Bueller versus Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is funnier. These are two classics, but Groundhog Day gets the nod. And then Dumb and Dumber versus Groundhog Day. Again, Dumb and Dumber is like a top 10 favorite movies of all time for me. Easily one of the funniest movies of all time for me. Groundhog Day, it has some like lulls in it where it's not that funny. So, give me Dumb and Dumber. And I'm not surprised that this ended up being my final matchup, because these are both top 10 favorite movies of all time for me. Princess Bride versus Dumb and Dumber. So I'm going to make it really easy on myself and default back to my which one makes me laugh more rule. And the answer to that is Dumb and Dumber. It is top to bottom a pure comedy. It is hilarious. I love it so much. So Dumb and Dumber is the winner of my comedy movies bracket. Let me know what I got wrong down in the comment section below. Be a nice person. Let me know what I got right in the comedy section, in the comment section down below. Scroll back up, hit the like button, and subscribe.